Hello, my name is Kurt Borger, and I am the director here at the Riverview Public Library. Today we are interviewing Navy veteran and World War II veteran Carl Danville. Thank you for coming in, Carl.
You're welcome.
Carl, how long have you lived in Riverview?
3 years.
3 years, and you live in King Haven on King Road.
Yes.
Correct. Let me start off at the very beginning. Where and when were you born?
I was born in 1920 in Marilla Township in Michigan.
Can you tell us where Marilla Township is or where it's close to so people have an idea?
Northwest of Cadillac, about 15 miles out in the country.
What were your parents' occupations?
My mother died when I was 3, so she had no occupation. My father did bookkeeping, and but then I left and went with my adopted parents, who eventually adopted me. And I was raised by my aunt and uncle in Riverview.
How many siblings did you have?
I had 5.
5. Were you the youngest or oldest?
I
Where
was
did you
next
fit?
to the youngest.
Next to the youngest. What high school did you attend?
Riverview,
What year did you graduate?
1938.
You entered the service in 1944. What were you doing between 1938 and 1944?
Went to college and graduated from Albion, then went to work at Pontiac Division of General Motors.
What kind of degree did you get at Albion?
I was majored in chemistry and math, minor in physics.
Let me ask you a little bit about going to college, because not a lot of people went to college at that time. Was it expected that you were going to college, or how did that happen for you?
That's a question that I don't know the answer to, really.
Well, did it
Because I just went to college, so my parents apparently, as you said, it was expected, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, here, I don't remember.
Well, did your siblings go to college?
My oldest brother did. My 2 sisters did. But my the other brothers didn't. So some of us did. And,
Okay. You entered the service in 1944. Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
Did you try to enlist before?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
Well, to the story.
Well, I want to hear that story.
Okay. All right. I tried to enlist in the Navy, and the doctor saw in the paper that I had polio, and he asked what effect it had, and I told him it affected my shoulder, and he wrote down there, no good, or wouldn't even let me take the physical. So that was the end of that till I was drafted.
And then what happened when you were drafted? Because you were rejected when you enlisted, and then you were accepted when you were drafted.
You were stark naked in front of 2 doctors. They looked you over and passed me on to a psychologist, I guess. And he asked me a few questions, and he said, oh, you had polio, what did it do? I told him what it did to my shoulder. And he got the biggest grin you ever saw in your life. He says, come on with me. He takes me back to the doctors and says, which one of you 2 examined this guy? Here he is at the college now. He's pointing out to them, they missed this. And but that I went on down to the examination, and I had to go to several, each step up until I got to the top doctor, or the head doctor there. And he shook hands with me and said I was fine. So, but
when you originally tried to enlist, why did you try to enlist in the Navy?
I suppose because everybody else was, everybody was going. I don't know.
When you pass, well, we should put past the physical in quotes, because shaking somebody's hand, oh, you're good to go, isn't usually usually the standard physical.
They need more warm bodies by this time.
Yes. After you passed the physical, what happened then? What did they assign you to? Or where did you go?
Of course, from Riverview, went downtown to the place there, and they put us on a train to Great Lakes Naval Station outside of Chicago there. And I was there 5 weeks. Well, you know, we had to do things like swimming tests, and we had to do things, but it wasn't severe enough because we played softball after supper. And we got up a team and played, so they didn't work us too hard. Well, we had a good boot pusher who was very good to us, so, you know, he didn't abuse us, you know, and like some of them did, I think. Camp was gonna break up on Monday, and they called me over to the main side on Thursday, and they said, you ever thought of being an officer? I goes, well, of course, you know.
Well, you did have a college degree, and
I had college degree,
yeah.
and I was older. I think that made it different. And they said, well, raise your hand. I raised my hand, and went through a lot of exams Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They put me on the train to Plattsburgh, New York, to the officers' training camp there.
And what did you learn there?
Again, to march.
More marching, really?
Instead of parade there, you know, and.
Well, I thought there would be more.
We had to learn knots, tying, you know, we learned signaling the flags, and a lot of the navigational things they taught us.
Okay, a little bit more technical training there.
Oh, yeah, well, stuff that I had no idea of course, you know.
Had you ever been outside of the state of Michigan before this?
No,
No.
I don't believe it.
Did you know how to swim before you entered the Navy?
I was a very poor swimmer. My wife was excellent. My 3 boys were really good swimmers,
But the Navy veteran wasn't?
no.
No.
When I took the naval test before going overseas at Great Lakes, I failed the test, but I went overseas anyway. I could swim, but I couldn't swim, you know.
I couldn't swim well.
Yeah.
You were in New York for further training. Where did you go after that?
Right to Frisco. Was given 10 days to get to San Francisco for shipping overseas. I was there 6 weeks.
You were in San Francisco for 6 weeks?
Yes.
What did you do there?
I had nothing to do except Monday, Wednesday, and Friday report in to see if they had transportation. My wife was with me, and so I reported aboard ship, CVE, small aircraft carrier, for transportation. And
Transportation to where?
well, actually I ended up in New Guinea, Hollandia, New Guinea, but I didn't know where I was going.
Okay.
Danville, Nick's name was Russell, for where we were supposed to go and stuff. Boy, that was strange. I got to look at my papers, and there was a date stamped 4 weeks before that to be put aboard, and it was marked out. For some reason, I was taken out of the first group and put in the last group, and we had 6 weeks honeymoon. So sometimes things work out for you. So anyway, and I ended up in Hollandia, then went to Philippines. So.
You go from San Francisco to New Guinea?
Yes.
And
Well, just a stop off to get. I boarded my ship. I was assigned to my ship there at Hollandia.
Oh, in New Guinea?
Yeah, yeah.
You were assigned to what ship?
It's actually, I see on there, it's LCI 71.
Okay, can you tell everybody what LCI stands for?
Landing Craft Infantry. But we were converted to rocket ship, which is not for space, but we had rocket launchers. And
Attached to the landing craft?
To the deck of them, yes.
What were your main duties on the landing craft?
Well, I started out as engineering officer, and being only a small ship and small amount of people, I ended up with actually a comm officer, and I ended up Well, eventually executive officer, and I was the last commanding officer of the LCI 74. So I started on the 71, but about 6 months later, I was transferred to the 74. So that's latitude. So.
What exactly did you do on those ships?
Well, we go to Lady Gulf and load up and go on a landing and come back and pretty much get reload and go on another one. So I tell you, there I was in 8 landings. So that was, I mean, we were kept busy, but we would bombard the beach so that the soldiers would have a clear area that they could get ashore while being blasted. And whoever thought up that idea saved a lot of lives. They were free to get out and get their guns, you know, and get in position, you know, and so forth, without opposition right in their face, right in their face. Yeah, so. But the duties on board were greatly varied because of the size of the ship. We did not have the, I used to say, restrictions of a big ship where you have to be in uniform all the time and everything had to be just so. We pretty much did what we needed to do at the time, you know. So we didn't dress formally at all on board ship. If you went ashore, you had to put on your uniform. But you know, if you'd come on board, chances are you wouldn't know who the officers were from the enlisted men because we're all just the same. We just casually. And obviously, it's warm out there. You don't need a lot of clothes, and they kept us busy. They kept us busy. I'll tell you that.
You were an engineer on these ships?
Well, yeah, I was the engineering officer, and I had a chief who really knew his stuff. He'd been out there 3 years, and he took me by the hand and showed me the ropes, and he and I got along well. We'd take a little dinghy and their supply ship come in, and he and I go get parts, and you know, we'd sit out on the fantail, him and I, many nights, you know. And so I was very lucky that I had a very cooperative, he taught me to take an injector apart, frontwards and backwards, and so forth. So.
Let me go back to what these landing craft did. You said they hold about 35 soldiers or Marines, correct?
Soldiers.
Soldiers,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sometimes.
A Marine wouldn't ride on our little boat.
Oh, they wouldn't?
I don't know.
But it was Army mostly for.
They carried Army before I was there. They carried Army. Then it was converted to this.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to clarify. So at first there was a landing craft where you would transport the soldiers to the beach or wherever the landing zone was.
The bow was flat, so they could go up on the beach. Now they usually had to wait from pictures I've seen. They had to wait a few feet, but they couldn't. You know, they couldn't get out the dry line, but they got into where it was very shallow.
Then what you're saying is it was converted to, they put ordnance on there, they actually put like rocket launchers, something like that on there. How, were they on the sides of the ship?
Down both sides. There was 11 launchers all down the side. And they each contained 10 rockets.
What millimeter were they, do you remember?
They were 4.8 inch rockets. On a 5-inch shell.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Now I know what size they were. you were in 6 operations or 6 landings.
Actually 8. But
8, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, that's what you put down in my math. Is there any one of those 8 that sticks out in particular in your memory?
Probably one of the smaller ones, but in Ormoc, when we landed at Ormoc, we had
Where's Ormoc?
in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, okay.
It's actually
Because the Philippines has like hundreds of islands, yes.
5,000, I think,
Yes.
but only a few of them are inhabitable. But the island had been pretty well taken, but Ormoc was like 40 miles from Tacloban, where was the original landing. And they just couldn't get to, somehow this terrain or whatever, they couldn't get to it, so we took the 77th Division all the way around the island and landed them there. And we had a man named Spencer, his last name was Spencer, from the Associated Press with us. And he wrote a little story about, sent to the Riverview, to all, for everybody, to all to their hometown papers, which was nice. And he was a really nice guy, and we enjoyed having him on there. But he only wanted one run. His job was to go once, and he was happy. But he didn't want to go again.
Now, in these 8 landings, did you encounter any enemy opposition?
Very little, but some of our other ships did get shelled. We were at Langate Gulf. We were stationed over in a certain area, and I had the midnight watch, and there comes a explosion here, explosion over here. I said, "Hey, we're getting out of here." We pulled a hamper. Obviously, mortar from the shore was were trying to center on us. We got out of there before, thank goodness for that. But, the ship had been hit before I was on there, but we never were hit while I was on there. They did take some damage previous. And, because, again, landing troops, they have to go right up to the shore. They have to stay there a while to get the troops up. And that's when I think they probably got hit, They're a stationary
Target.
Target now, yeah.
Let's go through the since it's a small ship, you have to load up the soldiers from a troop transport, or how does that work?
I was never involved in that.
Okay.
I don't know how they did it. I don't have any idea how but they would put 140 some soldiers on there. A very, not too big an area. And so the soldiers, I think, were happy to go ashore. You take 5 days, 6 days down in the ship.
Oh, one of those troop transports.
Yeah, and when it was a transport, yeah. And, as I say, I didn't experience that part of it,